appears ordinary till you see the core side of it.
And what you're looking for is the story behind the news.
We bring it to you from Lagos, the commercial capital of Nigeria.
Giving you all sides and political stories round the clock.
Every detail from the start line to the final whistle.
CoreTV News, expanding your view.
Hello and welcome to CoreTV Primetime News. I am Gift or Gete. In our major story, the All Progressives Congress has condemned renewed plan by the Nasarawa State House of Assembly to impeach the state governor Tanko Almakura. Also in this program, Balgore Saraki calls for active participation of eligible voters in the ongoing permanent voter cards insurance and continuous voter registration. Osun State government sets up emergency response committee to prevent an outbreak of Ebola disease. And outside Nigeria, United Nations humanitarian chief Valerie Amos calls for urgent concerted efforts in checking the humanitarian crisis in Iran and Gaza. Good to have you join us for CoreTV Primetime News. Now, details of the headlines and other stories. The All Progressives Congress has condemned renewed plans by the Nasarawa State House of Assembly to impeach the state governor Tanko Almakura. In a statement by its National Publicity Secretary Lai Mohammed, APC says the lawmakers were bent on violating the constitution in their desperation to remove the governor. The party ordered that Almakura had been cleared of the charges against him by a duly constituted impeachment panel. It says it will amount to an illegality for the lawmakers to draft a vacation judge to set up another panel to probe the same 16 allegations which the governor had been absolved. Ordering that the constitution is clear that only the chief judge of the state can set up such a panel upon receiving a request from the Speaker of the House of Assembly. The APC says any attempt to draft a vacation judge to set up another panel would be against the constitution that gave the legislature the impeachment power in the first instance. The party also said Almakura cannot be impeached on the basis of the same allegations. Human rights lawyer Femi Falana has described the fresh move being initiated by the Nasarawa State House of Assembly to impeach the governor Tanko Almakura as illegal. The lawyer says that under the Constitution, the House of Assembly lacked the power to raise the same allegations against the governor, having been earlier exonerated of the same accusations by an impeachment panel. Falana also described as illegal the decision of the House of Assembly to request a vacation judge to set up fresh impeachment panel against Almakura as lawless. Falana says only a chief judge of a state had the power to constitute an impeachment panel against a governor, ordering that a vacation judge could not serve as an appellate court over the decision of the earlier impeachment panel. He cautioned the Nasarawa State House of Assembly to desist from going ahead with the fresh impeachment move, as it will amount to a clear violation of the Constitution. The Ekiti State chapter of the People's Democratic Party has faulted the All Progressives Congress for saying that it was used as a test by the federal government to ensure victory for its candidate in the June 21st governorship election in the state. It said the statement credited to the state's APC chairman, Jide Awe, that Governor Ralph Aregbesola of Osun State retained his seat in the August 9 election because the PDP was unable to manipulate the poll like it did in Ekiti lacked logic. The party's publicity secretary, Kola Oluwawole, said the APC had, by the comments, shown that it would never see anything good in other people not sharing the same political belief. The PDP spokesman ordered that the accusation by the APC that the Ekiti poll was militarized could not hold water. He said in Edo State, Adams Oshomole lauded the presence of security agents during his election, adding that Oshomole went to thank President Goodluck Jonathan after he won, saying the presence of military men dissuaded people from fomenting trouble. Leaders of the People's Democratic Party in Kwara State, Dele Bagore and Senator Gbemisola Saraki, have conversed for peaceful and active participation of eligible voters during the ongoing permanent voter cards issuance and the forthcoming continuous voter registration in Kwara State, saying that the PDP will defeat the All Progressives Congress in presidential election and all elections in Kwara State in the 2015 general elections. They enjoined eligible voters to take the exercises seriously so as to qualify to choose their leaders. There had been pockets of violence in some areas in Ilorin during the PVC issuance. A core member was injured during one of the fracas, while some people and group, including the Conference of Nigerian Political Parties, had alleged that some of the thugs involved in the violence were suspected supporters of Bagore. But in a statement on Sunday by his media aide, Rauf Ajakaye, Bagore denied his involvement, that any of his supporters was in the violence, adding that he had reported the matter to the police. Saraki urged all Nigerians, especially Kwara residents, to register during the continuous voter registration, and for those that had registered to collect their permanent voter cards as currently being distributed in Kwara. He noted that it is the right of the people to participate in their governance. She ordered that it is important for people to register to vote as a medium of choosing their leaders. The Labour Party says it has commenced a move to discontinue with the suit filed against a former governor of Ogun State, Benga Daniel, challenging his authority in the party before a federal high court, Ikeja, Lagos. The national chairman of the party, Dan Nwayawu, among other members of the national executive, have ordered the suit filed against ex-governor Daniel to be withdrawn. The statement ordered that the party has officially written the lawyer handling the case, Oluyede Delano, to hands off from the case and notify the Federal High Court in Lagos through an affidavit of their desire to discontinue from the suit. The leaders appealed to all members of Ogun Party that had defected to other political parties during the protracted crisis to return to the party. They had also agreed to harmonize the state executive during the coming state congresses through affirmation. The candidate of the People's Democratic Party, Nkemdirim Nwogu Ihesimo, has won the August 16 by-election for Aba South State Constituency, Abia State. According to the result of the poll announced by the Independent National Electoral Commission, Ihediemu polled 1,655 votes to defeat her closest rival, Smart Ebere of the All Progressives Congress, who scored 313 votes, while Chimobi Akbara of the All Progressives Grand Alliance came third with 252 votes. Nkemdirim is the widow of the former occupant of the seat, late Nwogu Iheshimo, who died in March this year after protracting a mysterious illness. Governor Theodore G has congratulated Nkemdirim on her victory, which he described as well-deserved. The All Progressives Congress in the Southeast said it is not opposed to President Goodluck Jonathan running for re-election in 2015, as he has the constitutional right to contest. The APC spoke in a statement by its Southeast Zonal spokesman, Osita Okechukwu. The statement was a response to the endorsement of President Jonathan as Igbo candidate by some Southeast People's Democratic Party leaders under the platform of Transformation Ambassadors of Nigeria at a rally in Oka. The Southeast APC says the Igbo leaders who endorsed Jonathan have no interest in the well-being of Ndi Igbo. As reactions continue to trail the decision of the federal government to sack resident doctors in its employ nationwide, the medical practitioner and second vice chairman of the Nigerian Medical Association in Lagos State, Segun Akinwotu, has called for a rethink on the part of the government. Segun Akinwotu says the nation's medical practitioners are not unaware of the unprecedented emergency that the Ebola virus is and has been a part of it from before the index case brought the virus into Nigeria. He urged the government to shun blackmail and address the issue so that medical services can be restored to Nigerians.
We have already inadequate number of doctors working in Nigeria. And if there was a strike called by NMA and government comes around to just sack a segment of the NMA, it is not the solution to the problem. It's likely rather going to be counterproductive. I expect that government would still continue to explore channels of negotiations and dialogue to solve this problem. There's the Ebola outbreak. The NMA has been at the forefront. We are part of the Nigerian doctors who are involved. There are 5 doctors involved. 2 are foreigners, 3 are NMA members who are working in the IDH in Yaba. We go there to see them daily. You realize that even people have called us because the government is trying to blackmail NMA for still being on strike while there's Ebola outbreak.
The Kwara State government has said that the 7-month-old baby who was isolated in the state under suspicion of Ebola has tested negative to the virus. The boy was said to have manifested symptoms similar to Ebola disease, Lassa fever and malaria. Special Assistant to the Kwara State Governor on Information, Deji Oni, in a statement on Sunday, stated that the state government had received the result of the suspect's test from the Lagos University Teaching Hospital, which showed that the boy tested negative to the Ebola virus. Oni, who is a member of Kwara State Committee on the Prevention and Control of Ebola Disease, stated that with the development, the state remains Ebola-free. Oni ordered that shortly after the country recorded the first case, the state's government inaugurated a 14-man committee on the prevention and control of the virus, saying that the governor also ordered the immediate procurement of laboratory equipment and reagent, which are already stationed at the Harmony Advanced Medical Diagnostics Center in Ilorin. Lagos State's Governor Babatunde Fashola has said the state government is stepping up efforts in the fight against the spread of the Ebola virus. The governor, in a statewide broadcast, called on all Nigerians to support the government in its efforts to combat the disease. He advised residents to maintain a high standard of hygiene.
What all of us must do is to follow all the advice, especially about reporting any suspected cases and about increasing our personal hygiene by constant washing of our hands with soap and water. We should also stop unhygienic practices of urinating in public and defecating in public, because those are body fluids and waste through which the virus is known to thrive. This new week, starting from today, and the next one will be the sharpest part of the curve that we expect to negotiate. Last week, we cleared a total of 61 contacts after the 21 days surveillance, which is the known lifespan of the virus. These people were not sick. They were persons who needed to be monitored because of real or suspected contacts in order to be certain that they did not eventually fall sick. We cautiously wait to see how many more people will be cleared and hope that there will be no new cases.
With the scourge of the Ebola virus still a major concern, the Federal Ministry of Health has announced that the experimental drug Nan-Silver has not been approved for use in Nigeria as treatment for Ebola patients. While making the announcement in Lagos, Health Minister Onyebuchi Chukwu says the non-approval of the drug comes after a rigorous process by the nation's Health Ethics Committee.
And although the drug has since that last Thursday arrived Lagos, have been made available to the emergency operation center, it has not been administered to any patients because we are waiting clearance by the National Health Research Ethics Committee. And then we also informed that by this morning, the National Health Research Ethics Code withheld its approval, which means we are not going to use it.
He also gave his update on the fight against the virus and its spread across the nation.
As of today, the number of people who have died from Ebola virus disease in Nigeria stands at 4. And this figure includes the index case, 2 health workers who participated in the management of the index case, and then a protocol officer working for the ECOWAS Commission who was detailed to welcome the party, of whom the index case was among, who were headed to Calabar via Lagos. So those are the 4. The number of persons in Lagos that are currently under surveillance stands at 189. They are secondary contacts. And the number of persons under surveillance in Enugu, 6 secondary contacts.
This is CoreTV Prime Time News. We'll take a very short break. Stay with us.
You can now watch CoreTV News live from anywhere in the world on our website www.coretvnews.com. Click on Live TV on our website and watch us live.
And welcome to CoreTV Primetime News.
To follow us on Twitter, click on Twitter icon on our website. On Facebook, click on the Facebook and YouTube to see all our previous news production. You can also watch us live on YouTube. Click CoreTV, leave a space, then News. CoreTV News, a 24-hour news station.
One continent, 54 countries, over 2,000 languages, but united with similar interests. As news breaks, we give you in-depth analysis around Africa every Monday on CoreTV News.
Welcome you to From the Ivory Tower and happenings around the country. Varsity teachers get to air their views. Students are actually not left out. We bring you intellectual ends from the events happening around you. This is dedicated to educating the populace with a spice of entertainment.
From the Ivory Tower, Tuesdays, only on CoreTV News.
Welcome back. In a bid to prevent the outbreak of the dreaded Ebola virus in Osun State, the state government has set up an emergency response committee to map out plans in preventing Ebola from Osun and to put in place a quick response to curtail evil course. Rashid has details.
Like some Nigerians will say, the fear of Ebola elicits caution. Since the outbreak of the dreaded disease in Nigeria, proactive measures have been put in place by government at all levels to either curtail its spread or prevent it in states where it is not yet recorded. Osun State government says it has put in place isolation and quarantine centers to stop a possible outbreak.
Some buildings, some hospitals, which we have built but have not been occupied yet as our isolation centers. And we have taken delivery of personal protective equipment, PPE. Spoke with Dr. Yewande Adeshina, who is the special advisor to the governor on public health in Lagos State, coming to Osun on Wednesday on what they have been doing and ways by which they could help us here in Osun to ensure and make sure that we do not have this Ebola here in Osun.
The Osun State government says it has also set up an interministerial committee ranging from the Ministry of Health to religious institutions to help with aggressive enlightenment.
The state government have put a high-powered committee in place, and it's a ministerial committee. Members are the Health Ministry, Information Ministry, Environment Ministry, Tourism, and we have Agric, Education, and rural and water resources. Outside the ministerial system, we have the traditional council representation.
The State Commissioner for Environment, Bukola Oyawoye, has warned all hotel owners of sanctions if they fail to report clients to the ministry henceforth.
Then to alert us if there are visitors in their hotels. No hotelier should keep any visitors without the knowledge of the state government now. We need to know everyone that enters Osun by way of being a visitor.
The special advisor to Governor Raouf Aregbesola on health, Rafiu Samotu, says the state government is set to bring doctors in to tackle Ebola if the need arises.
The only training teaching hospital we have in Osun is Lautech, which is jointly owned by Oyo and Osun. But all our doctors in all the state hospitals, in all our general hospitals, comprehensive centers are not resident doctors. So they are ready. They are on red alert to help us in case we have any case of Ebola here in Osho.
These preventive measures are only precautionary, as no known case of Ebola has been recorded in Osho State. Rashid, CoreTV News.
Still on Ebola, Sierra Leone is one of the countries most affected by the disease. French non-governmental organization Médecins Sans Frontières says survivors are being allowed to return home if they can prove that they are no longer contagious. Sierra Leone has stepped up efforts against the deadly Ebola virus.
So far, we've had more than 200 confirmed cases at our Ebola center, and we've had 52 survivors. Anyone who's confirmed to have Ebola then is monitored. If they stop having symptoms, then a second test will be done. And the test will look to see if the viral load has fallen to the point where the person is no longer infectious. And at that point, they can be discharged and go home to their community. Today, we're taking survivors home to their village, which is very exciting for us because it means we have survivors. And it's also really beneficial to the overall response to the outbreak, because when survivors go home, they can explain about their experience at the center. They give people hope that it's possible to survive. And it really builds trust between the community and MSF.
Kenyan government has announced the closure of its borders to travelers from Guinea, Liberia and Sierra Leone, the three countries worst hit by the Ebola outbreak. Kenya Airways also announced that it would suspend its flights to Freetown and Monrovia. Several European carriers have already suspended services to the Sierra Leonean and Liberian capitals, where states of emergency have been declared to try to slow the spread of the disease. Kenyan Health Minister James Macharia said the measure was also aimed at travelers who have passed through the affected countries. Macharia said the measure does not affect health workers fighting the epidemic, nor Kenyans returning home from the three countries. He, however, warned that both groups would be subject to strict check and, if necessary, put people in quarantine. The move came amid an international appeal to help contain the deadly virus, which has already killed over 1,000 people across West Africa. Over 2,000 internally displaced persons are currently taking refuge in a secluded area in Nasarawa State. They are some of the people displaced by recent clashes in some parts of Wukari in Taraba State. Pal Samo reports that the temporary camp is located in one of the Almajiri schools built by the federal government.
This looks like a refugee camp, but it is actually a school. The school was built by government for the Almajiris as a way of introducing them to Western education. But it has now been taken over by internally displaced persons from Taraba State. There are over 1,000 persons here. They had narrowly escaped death when an internal crisis broke out in Wukari. Some of them have fitted in well, while others wished they were at home.
All the assistance made by the Nasarawa State government, and we have a special assistance by the chieftaincies affairs, more especially the chief of Shabu here. If there is anything that we may be encountered, even within ourselves, that is within the circles of the displaced person, quickly he's been intervening. So before we realize in all angles, the necessary action will be taken by him. There and then we made to find ourselves in a safer situation.
From this place, they get their food. They manage at least 2 square meals per day, provided by Nasarawa and Taraba State governments. These youths also take out time to relax in their new environment. The Secretary, Nasarawa State Emergency Management Agency, Abdullahi Idris, said it has not been easy getting support to keep the people.
The people you see on this camp are people from Taraba State. They happen to come from 5 different communities in Taraba State. There are those that came from Wukari, others came from Aruhu, while others came from Chinkai. Essentially, our major challenge is, of course, managing people that come from different communities. It's one of the major challenges we've been having, essentially having to do with leadership. However, we've been trying our best to bring them together because they feel who should be the leader of the IDPs. One committee says they want their own, the other one says they want their own. So every now and then, this has been the challenge.
This 2-year-old boy knows nothing about where he is. To him, this is home, and he is keen to explore his new environment. They may have settled in, but these people are hopeful of reuniting with their families as soon as peace returns to the troubled spots in Wukari. The peaceful nature of Taraba State was recently characterized by violence in some parts of the state, especially Wukari local government. The crisis have rendered these people refugees in their fatherland. Pius Samuel, CoreTV News, Lafia.
The Center for Social Justice has faulted the decision of the Central Bank of Nigeria to reintroduce charges on the use of automated teller machines by customers of deposit money banks. The Apex Bank had issued a new directive for the reintroduction of the charge 2 years ago. It abolished the 100 naira per withdrawal fee. In a statement by the lead director, Eze Onyekbere, the group regretted the reintroduction of the charge, stating that there is no reasonable justification for the development. He urged the CBN to consider the interest of all the parties that will be affected by this new directive and balance any conflict by appropriating obligations on those best positioned to bear them. The group described the reintroduction of the ATM charges as a retrogressive step that would unduly burden bank customers, discourage the unbanked from using the banking system, and also negate the cashless policy. It's CoreTV Primetime News. We'll take another break. Stay with us.
You can now watch CoreTV News live from anywhere in the world on our website, www.coretvnews.com. Click on Live TV on our website and watch us live.
And welcome to CoreTV Primetime News.
To follow us on Twitter, click on Twitter icon on our website. On Facebook, click on the Facebook and YouTube to see all our previous news production. You can also watch us live on YouTube. Click CoreTV, leave a space, then News. CoreTV News, a 24-hour news station.
Nigerians continue to travel the city of Lagos.
There is still a poor level of
Be the first to know from the north, south, east, west, and around Africa. We break the news.
We are one Nigeria.
Now you can catch all the actions live as the news breaks. We are CoreTV News.
Welcome to CoreTV,
a 24-hour news station.
From time immemorial, women have birthed life, shaped character, and by extension, influenced the society. Moremi of Ife, Emoten of Benin, Queen Aminat of Zaria, all women of influence and power.
Whether it's before election, after election.
How ironical. Women being so powerful, yet have few grounds in decision making.
They see you as a wife, and I see you as a wife to a man.
We are talking women in politics.
A woman will be bold enough to stand up and say, I want to become president of Nigeria.
Only on CoreTV News. Good to have you. Stay tuned. It's CoreTV Primetime News. A United Nations humanitarian chief, Valerie Amos, rounds up a 2-day visit for talks on expanding humanitarian cooperation amid a growing disagreement between Iran and the West, adding that the humanitarian situation in Gaza requires urgent steps.
In Gaza, 1,975 Palestinians, including 1,407 civilians and 67 Israelis, were killed during the conflict. An estimated 10,000 people have been injured, including 3,000 children and 3,000 women. Damage to hospitals, schools, and UN Works and Relief Agency shelters where people displaced sought refuge will take months to rebuild. The United Nations response continues, including with the delivery of food, water and household goods. Medicines and fuel are being delivered to hospitals. All recognise that all the member states of the United Nations have so far failed in their ability to deliver that political solution.
With just a month to go until Scotland votes on independence from Britain, early polls suggest that the plan might be defeated. First Minister Alex Salmond faces a tough challenge to turn the contest around and secure victory. The report.
To be independent or not to be independent? That is the question the Scots will have to answer next month when they vote in a referendum that will decide their nation's future. Though it has been part of Great Britain since 1707, Scotland has had its own devolved parliament and control over areas like healthcare and education for 15 years. Now the Scottish National Party, led by Scotland's First Minister Alex Salmond, is fighting for a complete split from the historic union, meaning they'll be able to determine their own defence and foreign policy as well as full tax and spending priorities.
The referendum is not about this party or this First Minister or even the wider Yes campaign. It's about putting Scotland's future into Scotland's hands.
But just a few weeks away from the referendum, voters aren't convinced Scotland can make it on its own. Most polls suggest 45 to 50% of Scots will rather remain part of Britain. Around 30% say they will vote yes to independence, while the rest are undecided. The main issue, analysts say, is the economy. It remains unclear whether Scotland as a sovereign state will be able to keep the British pound as currency, and many doubt whether revenues from North Sea oil and gas will be enough to secure the future of an independent Scotland.
You should be thinking, what is the Scottish economy going to be like? What are the revenues for the government going to be like in 50 years' time, for example, or 100 years' time, when you and I are dead, but our children and our grandchildren are part of the Scottish economy. So that is the key question.
Salmond has accused his opponents of carrying out Project Fear, a campaign to scare off voters from claiming their sovereignty. Whether they choose to sever ties with Britain or not, Scots will have to remember that if they do end up going it alone, there will be no turning back.
During independence celebration in India, the skies of Delhi is usually filled with colorful kites as Indians head to their roofs to practice a traditional pastime sport that symbolizes their freedom from British rule. In recent years, the number of kites has dwindled as inflation hikes prices and passion for the sports among youths feeds. The report.
Each year in August, kite war, fills the skies above Delhi. In the tactical game of kite flying, opponents try to bring down each other's kites by cutting the strings with their own. The centuries-old game is one of the city's favorite sports, and on independence, it symbolizes India's freedom from colonial rule.
When India was under the British, they had all the control and they did as they liked. And we were tied up in strings. So we celebrate independence with kites, because the aim of the game is to cut their strings, so the kite becomes free in the same way that we did.
Ahead of celebrations, each year enthusiasts head to this kite market in Old Delhi. Most kites cost between 10 and 50 cents, but the key component is the pricier string, which is coated in crushed glass for a competitive edge. These days, shopkeepers complain that business here isn't what it used to be.
Things have changed in the past 10 years. The crowds have really dwindled. Lots of young kids are into more modern games now, and that's impacted the market. Inflation has also made the kites too expensive for many.
Azhar spent more than $100 on 400 kites for the festive period. He believes in buying the best quality kites he can afford for him and his family.
A good kite should have a frame that's equal on both sides, so the kite sits evenly over it. You should release it gently into the sky, and it shouldn't turn, but fly straight, and only turn when you make it turn.
There are dozens of kite flying clubs in Delhi, with competitions held around the year, but during independence celebrations, it's the taking part and just having fun and not the winning that counts.
And with that, we wrap off the show for tonight. On behalf of the entire production crew, I am Gift Ogete, wishing you a good night rest. Good night.